he's still... Yeah, well, 93, queen e6. Well, not so much time left. Queen to b3. Well, still the king is weak, so there are chances. Queen takes a4, queen b1, queen to c4, queen a5, and he wants queen d2. b6, queen to d2.
Queen f1 is only move.
Queen f1 is only move. Now Magnus certainly has the perpetual. He can try for more, and he does. Queen c5, so queen f2 is met with e3. He might be winning in this one as well.
It's e2 and e1 cannot
e2,
stop.
well, and now he can take. Now he can take, next move being queen b... well, queen b1 is tricky, it is a draw, interestingly enough, yeah? If the queens are swapped, it is a draw. No, queen e4 is, of course, convincing move. Now, no doubt Magnus is winning objectively, so he decides to simplify the position, takes the pawn on h2. Now some threats of perpetual check. Some threats of perpetual check. Well, I'm not sure about Magnus's decision to simplify, to be honest. Not sure at all. A check given, now king g3, a check, king h4, and white will be... yeah, h2, and how a perpetual check? There is no check.
No, because e4 square is taken by...
There is no check on e4. Well, what a game, what a game. I believe at some point he really took too much risk, and he was apparent. Knight to e7, white takes. Now he can take on h4 and attack e6 pawn. That's the difference between knight d4 and knight e7. Takes on e6, takes on f4. Now at least he can take on f5. I don't see him losing in this case. He can take with the... try to take with the knight as well. No, he takes with the bishop. Now knight takes, knight takes. Well, you need to bring the king closer. Yeah, knight d3 is a potential threat as well. Check, knight d6.
Check, and knight c3 was the c8 was
knight
possible.
c8, yeah, it was possible, of course. Yeah, I mean, he still has it. He still has it. He can
but it was
still...
checked. It was about the tempo.
Takes, knight goes to c4. I guess, well, it's still somewhat tricky. White will be a pawn up. Knight a7, knight takes b2, knight b5. Most likely a draw with black pieces being that active, but it's only Magnus who can win this one. I mean, he cannot lose, so that's kind of a good outcome for him. Check, king goes to f4, king g6 wasn't the best move, it feels like. Knight to c5 now. Trapping out, well, then you go knight d7 or h4 first. That's a very unpleasant position to be, to be played on a limited time. Well, and now he's winning.
g3.
Now he's winning. That's
this
a very...
black king should be stuck on h5.
Yeah.
And now the king goes to
has to
pawn.
protect, yeah, has to protect the pawn. And then king e5, king e3. Why not king e5? Because it was still tricky.
Knight c5.
King e3. Knight c5, a5. No, now it doesn't help. Knight d6. Okay, king to d4. Knight back to b7, king to c4 he goes. King to c4. And that's the pawn which is lost for the side with the knight. Yeah, knight takes, knight goes back to g3. And this is winning. And I think they try to swap the queens. Tries to swap the queens. Queen g6. Now, but knight b5 wins more material. There is queen f2. He wants to be safe. Knight e4, knight takes. Rook d1. Well, some material won back. And Sanan is also very short on time. Now rook c2 is a threat. Knight e4. Well, I mean, now it's nothing is clear. Nothing is clear. I mean, white is of course, objectively, white is completely winning. But
yes.
You still have to win.
And white is short on time.
It is short on time, but yeah, let's see how it works now, because Magnus only has the rook, but he managed to paralyze those knights.
But pawns are going to the both sides.
Now the pawn is going all the way to c6, right? c5 takes. In case of rook a5, there is knight b3. Well, knight e6 was a serious option, but knight b3 is good as well. That, and then attack the pawn. Well, white doesn't want to play c6. Yeah, c6. Rook to a4. and then the king is coming. There is still a defensive idea from Magnus, like to eliminate all the pawns at the cost of a rook, right? So two knights are not winning.
Yeah, cannot
That's
win.
being the point, but they are too many.
Oh, we have
The pawns are too many.
Mm-hmm.
King to g1. So what's the problem with rook e7? I'm not really sure. Rook to e5. So he wants rook e5, rook c5, because white also somewhat weakened his, I mean, if the rook gets to first rank, you know what happens. A check and then mate on h1. Both of them getting very close to, you know, those last seconds. And now actually anything is possible.
Sure about his move.
Yeah, now
He goes back on
actually
d1.
anything is possible, and then I mean anything is possible, and now it feels like Magnus made progress. Magnus made progress.
No, rook e4.
Rook e4. The rook on d1 is still hanging. Check. King goes back. Now a4 pawn is hanging as well. Queen d5. Rook e1 check. Mamedyarov blundered badly because after king h2 it's rook h1 check, winning the queen.
Wow.
Queen f2 is winning as well. a1 is also hanging. The swap of the rooks, queen e8, a bit passive, but still good, still good. 2 pawns up. Meanwhile, Sergei Karyakin made the draw against Van Hau, that's what I was informed. Well, look, Alexander Grischuk is trying to arrange some counterplay. Magnus just snatches the 3rd pawn. Bishop takes a2.
Queen d4, now white wants to play h6 and some
h6 is the idea. Queen takes
custom.
a7. Bishop to d5, and there might be some back rank issues as well. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Queen's endgame is always tricky. Okay, at least for us, for Maltans, I mean, I'm not sure, maybe for Magnus it's just, you know, a piece of cake. Takes king to g3. It might have been wise to give a check on h4 first for Magnus Carlsen. Well, but looks like he's very comfortable. 2 pawns up. Well, winning position it has to be.
Why not b5? No, the b5 can be
b5,
lost.
yeah, you just
b6.
give the pawn, yeah. b6, check, king goes to g7, no checks anymore. Queen c7 is a bit annoying, but there is a check. Yeah, and b5, so he keeps both pawns. Well, and I've got incredible news. Pia Kramling has won yet another game with the black pieces, so she keeps leading and might even extend her lead. While Grischuk stands no chance anymore after queen d4. Impressive play by Magnus, and white is impressive because I have no